Hey, Trade Scores market scan for June 14th. Happy Monday. See the market here just hanging out underneath resistance. That's the small cap sector, Russell 2000. S&P 500, also very low volatility. Essentially, the market isn't a factor. There is a general optimism in the market, but I would say the overall market is neither helping or hindering. So if that's the case, then individual stocks can do well if they have good stories. When the market is hot and moving up, even poor companies can move up. In an environment like this, you need the individual stock to have something going on. All right, here's a stock that we found on Friday, and it hadn't quite broken out yet, but today it is, making a nice break from that pattern I talked about last week. So now the question is reward for risk potential. It's going to get up to probably 320 before it gets resistance. It's at, let's call it 270 now with 250 as support. So that's 20 cents of downside and about 50 cents of upside. So it's just barely getting what we want to see in terms of reward for risk. I don't like how it's coming back from this really serious pessimism here. That, of course, was the COVID crash, and the fact that it's already up quite a bit since it first broke from low volatility. So I think it's a great hold, but I'm just going to give it a 6 out of 10 today. Keep on moving through here. Good strength there, but lots of volatility, breaking up into pessimism. Fairly volatile. See a number of the gold miner names doing well today. All right, let's try the US side now. Abnormal breaks US. 59 stocks. Often you get more stocks moving on a Monday. What happens is over the weekend, people do their research, they listen to the stories, and everyone gets excited to buy for Monday morning, and that can get an uptrend going on individual stocks, but they're not always the most reliable signals. So I try to be a little fussier than normal on a Monday because it just seems like a lot of the strength can just be emotionally based as opposed to something real. But if a stock can go out near the end of the day at the highs, relatively stable, then it's fairly good. This is not a bad pattern, but it's still going to find resistance there. I don't think the reward for risk is quite high enough because we are a fair number of stocks to look at. I'm going to go through these as quick as I can. So we're on to page 3 now. This Ceragon Network CRNT, not bad. I mean, I think it's more likely to go higher than lower, but it lacks the abnormal volume to make me think that something is really good there. So far, I think T.div is the best looking stock that we've seen, but the question is, does it have enough upside to justify the downside? None of those were great. Next page. This looks pretty decent, VIOT, but lacks abnormal volume, so I'll give that a 6. This is right at resistance, not through resistance, already well into the upward trend, breaking up into pessimism, lots of resistance, resistance. This one is the bus has left the station, coming into resistance at 18, too volatile. Next page. Breaking from too much volatility, good hold though, coming into resistance, probably gets stuck at 19. Fairly volatile into the break, increases the chance of a pullback. This one well into its upward trend, should have been bought back in January. This too big of a move for the RR potential to be good. This breaking up into resistance, not through resistance. Too volatile, well into the upward trend. Breaking up into too much pessimism, closing below its open. Too volatile right here. Next page. Once you get good at this, you just see the reasons not to take a trade. You can always find something good about these things, but we have to look for things that are bad. Here's one that looks better. This is a nice 3-4 month sideways trading range, low volatility, breaking out. Problem is there's no abnormal volume, so that's a weakness and a pretty important weakness. We'll take a look at the 3-year just to get some context. And there you see really this move started in 2020 on this breakthrough resistance at 120. Now it's at 220. I just think it's too late, but still a decent hold. I give it a 6 out of 10 here. All right, looks like that's about it. So let's now just take a look at our current picks. RESN, which was one of our picks from a little over a week ago, starting to make a comeback after a 4 or 5 day pullback, starting to break again. That's good. If you haven't bought this one yet, then it's worth considering here. It hasn't gone up a lot, so it's still worth considering, and everything else looks pretty normal. This FOBI was the former MTRX. It's right at support, so it's going to need to bounce here. We may get out of this tomorrow. It just hasn't worked out so far, but they don't all work out. All right, hope that you've enjoyed that. Trade well.